Accounting and law, two professions with strict boundaries until now. They've been like oil and water. You can put them together, but they don't really mix. But KPMG is breaking the mold, aiming to become the first Big Four accounting firm in the US to own a law firm. And this isn't just a headline. This is a massive shift for the accounting profession, for accounting leaders like you. Let's dive into it. I'm Rob Brown, host of the Accounting Influencers podcast, bringing you the news, the trends, the intel, the insights to make you more relevant, influential, and competitive in today's crazy world. So what's happened? In the state of Arizona in the US, new laws now allow non-lawyers to own law firms. It's always been protected territory. And traditionally, anyone has been able to set up an accounting firm, but not a legal one. But the laws have relaxed in Arizona, and I've been there. It's a very interesting place. And now KPMG is opening up and on track to become the first law firm as KPMG Law US. And they're not planning to handle courtroom battles and go into litigation and billion-dollar lawsuits like that. They're just playing around with the process-heavy work contract management, legal project support, M&A, contract harmonization, all of those things that actually sit very well with the accounting playbook. And it's not just about Arizona. We have a big viewership for this show in the US, but we are thinking globally here. KPMG's global legal services are already active in 80 countries. So this is not something they've just done for Arizona. They are making a big play here. The US has the largest legal market in the world. That's the ultimate prize. So they're going to conquer the US. And what do we read into that? Well, to my mind, Arizona is just the start, isn't it? They're not going into this on a whim. They're looking to ease the barriers to legal services for their clients, maybe even pioneering alternative business structures in law firms. We've had a lot of that on the accounting firm front and the partnership model and the whole equity pyramid. So it seems inevitable that KPMG are going to partner with local firms, co-counsel arrangements to expand nationally, and then probably take over the world. It's going to happen. And you might be wondering why this has never been tried before. Well, it has to some degree, but certainly not on this scale. And bear in mind, this isn't just KPMG. Guess what the other Big Four firms, EY, PwC, Deloitte, are doing? They're all watching very, very closely. They're seeing how this plays out. And as I analyze it here, there are three big drivers for this. The first is client demand. Your clients are getting ever more demanding with more complex expectations, and businesses, they want integrated solutions, one-stop shops, legal, tax, advisory, all in one package saves time and money. All the data, all the invoices, all the people, all the conversations are under one roof. That's appealing to businesses. And for the technology that businesses have to interact with, if that's all in one portal, that's going to be something. Number two, technology and process expertise. Firms like KPMG are the masters at scaling tech solutions for those large-scale repetitive tasks. And you might be good at doing it in your firm, whatever your position, but legal tech fits perfectly with accounting tech. It's very precise, it's very AI-driven these days, and it's very much client-centric. So there's going to be a great fit there with the tech, potentially. The third driver for this is revenue growth. Legal services are lucrative. We have the magic circle law firms, don't they? They're making a ton of money. For KPMG, the tax and legal services grew 10% last year to, guess how much? $8.7 billion globally. That's tax and legal services. So they're already doing some legal stuff. And KPMG has seen massive upside in capturing the routine legal work that traditionally has had to be handed out to law firms. And if there is any downward pressure on compliance fees, and we are seeing that throughout the accounting tiers, they're going to be ready to shore that up with additional services. So they're the three drivers: client demand, technology expertise, revenue growth. And as always on this show, we examine what it means for you as accounting leaders and all professionals in the accounting game. And a few implications of this news are emerging. First, multidisciplinary teams are becoming more and more the norm. So you can expect to work alongside lawyers, tech experts, project managers, non-accountants, perhaps in the same office, almost certainly on the same client, perhaps on the same tech platforms. And further to that, the number two implication here is that tech skills are going to be essential. KPMG is already investing huge amounts, as are all firms these days, on the AI and the platforms like its digital gateway. So tech literacy is non-negotiable. And you don't have to become a code writing geek to survive here and stay relevant and competitive, but you will need to know more than turning a computer on and off. And you will need to know your way around an AI generative prompt. Is coming. The third implication for you here is that ethics are going to be scrutinized even more. We know audits already under heavy watch from regulators, big fines, errors, malpractice, never far from the news, I'm afraid, in accounting. But blended accounting and legal services, well, that might raise concerns about independence and conflicts of interest. And leaders like you are going to need to navigate these challenges. And it's going to sit well for you as accountants because you're in the business of mitigating risk. So you're used to hopefully staying on the right side of legal and regulatory requirements, and you're used to keeping up with those requirements. So what can you do to stay relevant and influential in this changing landscape? So as I bring this to a close with some tangible takeaways, first, you've got to stay informed. Keeping up with trends like Arizona's play with this, the movements of the big four, which always shape what happens everywhere else, that's going to cascade down. So stay informed and be armed and ready. When people talk about this in your firm, what do you think? You've got to have an opinion. You've at least got to know what's going on. Second takeaway for you is to expand your expertise so you can get ahead of this. So that means learning a little bit more about legal processes and tech tools on the legal side. And I'm not saying become a generalist and dilute what you're offering over being a specialist because you're really good at what you do. But a multi-skilled, multidisciplinary professional is always going to exude more executive presence and make better strategic decisions than somebody who's very tactical, head down, job in the weeds. Thirdly, build your influence. Obviously, this is the Accounting Influencers podcast. You'd expect me to say that. But you've got to understand how to connect the dots between accounting, law, advisory services, consulting. This is your opportunity to stand out as a leader. Get ahead of industry players like this. As the move into legal percolates into your firm, cascades down, you want to be on the right side of the big calls that will inevitably need to be made. And you might be in a smaller firm. You might run your own firm. This might be a million miles away from where you are right now. But we should be future focused. We should be knowing what trends are shaping the profession at the top because it will inevitably come down. So in closing, let's take a lesson from history. Think back to the accounting professionals who dismissed cloud when it first emerged and stayed on the desktop. Even now, many accountants don't automate a bank feed. They're still not in the cloud. They're still on paper and Excel spreadsheets. And those who ignore the trends of cloud, they're struggling to keep up right now. The same is true of advisory services. Firms that didn't pivot, particularly during COVID, where clients began to demand more proactive advice, they lost market share, they lost relevance. We're seeing this too now with AI and technology. Firms and personnel that are slow to adopt and adapt, they're going to get left behind. They're losing relevance and independence already. We've done a show with Gary Seamus recently here on how private equity money is coming in and taking big chunks out of accounting because firms are not ready and strong enough to be independent. So this shift into multidisciplinary services is going to be another big wave. And yeah, while KPMG might be a million miles away from your situation, what's the harm in you reaching out on LinkedIn to a few more legal professionals in your community and getting ahead of the legal side of things, just being a little bit more multidisciplinary in your approach? You don't let it pass you by. See the crossover. Consider moves like this from the perspective of your clients. What they've been asking for over the last few years is not necessarily what they will be asking for in the next few years. Just like we say, the network that got you here might not get you there. You've got to keep building, keep evolving. You don't want to be caught off guard when the industry shits under your feet. So stay informed, expand your expertise, build your influence. These are not just buzzwords. We preach them all the time on this show. These are your path to staying relevant and impactful in the accounting profession. I'm Rob Brown. This is the Accounting Influencers podcast. If you do want to build your thought leadership and your personal brand, reach out to me. I'm working with a few professionals and firms right now to showcase their domain expertise and build out their thought leadership and the brands of their people as ambassadors of the firm and individuals and owners themselves. So it involves a 30-minute interview once a month that we turn into video snippets and thought leadership articles and pieces, all done for you and branded up and captioned, so you are just good to go. This is not a time to be a well-kept secret. This is a time to shout your expertise from the rooftops because it's competitive out there and the world is changing. So what do you think about this move by KPMG into legal? Is it a good move? Do you care? Is it beginning of a revolution in professional services? Is it a risky overstep by KPMG that will be blindly followed by some other firms? Share your thoughts with me on LinkedIn. That's where I'm most active. And if you're watching this on YouTube, put a comment in the video here. We have an active LinkedIn and YouTube following here. And don't forget to subscribe to the Accounting Influencer podcast for more insights on industry trends like this and how they will impact you. Have a great day.